Chasiv Yar has surrendered. The Russian armed forces encircled the settlement and put a decisive end to it. Before we begin, I would like to sincerely ask you to subscribe to the channel. Your subscription helps support its growth. I thank everyone who has subscribed. Now let's move on to the front lines. We will start with Velyka Novosilka. Western media, of course, continue to be in shock over how quickly the operation for Velyka Novosilka unfolded. In fact, it set a kind of record for storming a fortified area, a well-defended city like Velyka Novosilka. According to various sources and battle chronologies, the fighting for Velyka Novosilka lasted no more than 10 to 16 days. In the shortest possible time, the settlement fell, marking the fastest capture since the beginning of hostilities. For reference, Bakhmut held out for 8 months, and the battle for Novomikhailivka, a village of similar size, lasted about a year. Previously, the storming of any settlement was measured in months, not days. As for the further advance of Russian forces, there is currently no significant information. Russian units are gradually clearing settlements on the Ukrainian side of the Mokry-Yaly River without attempting to cross it. It seems that a regrouping is taking place, the situation is being assessed, and the availability of reserves is being considered. In the near future, the Russian side may test Ukrainian defenses in this direction. Moving on to the Andriivka fortified area, where the Russian Federation has launched a decisive assault. At the moment, this fortified area and its network of settlements are being attacked from almost all directions. Constant offensives are underway towards Ruslan, with Russian artillery regularly striking this settlement. FAB bombs are also being used, and current weather conditions allow aviation to operate at maximum capacity. Strikes are being carried out on logistical hubs and bridges, and active combat operations continue. Reports indicate that the settlement of Dakhny has been placed under operational encirclement. Today, we received the first footage from this area, showing Russian forces striking Ukrainian armed forces positions. Thanks to this footage, it was confirmed that battles are already taking place in the center of the settlement. Judging by the situation, there is not much left of the Ukrainian presence there. Additionally, Telegram channels reported that AFU soldiers in this village suffered significant losses, with less than 20% of the brigade stationed there remaining intact. Moving further to the Andriivka fortified area itself, artillery continues to operate constantly, targeting logistics routes. Everything is being done to prevent and disrupt the Ukrainian army's ability to transfer operational reserves both eastward and southward. In the northern sector, after securing positions in the northeastern part of Andriivka, Russian forces continued advancing westward toward the Dnipro region. The Russian armed forces will likely split this settlement into 2 parts, significantly narrowing the encirclement to the east. Further north, towards Nadezhdinka, some sources report that the settlement of Novoandriivka is now 75% under Russian control. Ukrainian forces still hold some buildings, but additional reports indicate that Russian forces have begun an assault on Srebny, seemingly from both the northeast and southeast. Tomorrow, we will likely receive updated battle maps from both pro-Ukrainian and neutral sources. In any case, the offensive is progressing at a high pace, and the Russian army has not slowed down its advances since the beginning of this operation. Once Nadezhdinka and Srebny come under Russian control, we can confidently say that 50% of Muravynik has fallen into Russian hands. Just a few weeks ago, the first battles broke out over Pushkin, and since then, the Russian army has advanced through settlements such as Nova Olenivka, Ukrainka, Yasenev, and Nova Yelizavetivka. Now, the latest reports include settlements like Novoandriivka, Srebny, and Nadezhdinka. Moving to the Pokrovsk direction, over the past few weeks, intense and fierce fighting has been ongoing for the settlements of Udachny and Kotlina. According to various cartographic services and expert reports from the ground, the settlement of Kotlina has come under the control of the Russian army. There was sufficient evidence to confirm this, and we updated the maps accordingly. After securing or determining that the flanks were already safe, Russian forces began gradually advancing deeper into Udachny. Today, footage from objective control was published, captured by the scandalous 155th Brigade of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, AFU, featuring Anna Kaivska. These images showed Ukrainian drones striking Russian positions at this location, Based on this footage, we fully updated the map to reflect that the eastern part of Udachne is effectively under AFU control. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian army, operating from Pokrovsk, has begun launching consistent and concerning strikes towards Kotlina. Their objective appears to be encircling Russian forces within the Pokrovsk mine management area. Since January, numerous videos have surfaced showing Ukrainian counterattacks in this sector. Initially, after the first video, we did not update the map due to uncertainty regarding the sequence of events. However, today, new footage emerged showing assault troops from the 425th Separate Battalion Skala attempting to storm Kotlina. Objective control footage confirms that some territory between Kotlina and Pishcheny remains firmly under Ukrainian control. Based on these images, we have updated several strongpoints on the map in favor of the AFU. We can observe concentrated strikes in the area, but it is difficult to determine their ultimate goal, whether they are merely intended to keep the Russian army on high alert in Kotlina, or if there is a genuine effort to reach the western outskirts of its southern part to cut off Russian forces. Moving towards Pokrovsk, here the situation remains unchanged. Russian drones are operating regularly, utilizing new technologies such as fiber optic guidance. In the footage, we can see numerous drone strikes targeting Ukrainian military equipment moving through the settlement. The area is now under intense Russian fire control, and Ukrainian forces are suffering heavy losses. Additionally, footage has been published from slightly further north, near what is referred to as the Road of Death or Life, the last relatively stable supply route, designated T0515. This road runs vertically north from Pokrovsk towards the settlement of Rodinske. At present, Rodinske serves as a logistical hub for Ukrainian forces. Equipment and wounded personnel are transported from Pokrovsk to Rodinske, where further redistribution of the wounded and damaged equipment takes place. On the ground, sources report that Russian forces have carried out several drone strikes on warehouses and military transport vehicles carrying weapons. These strikes triggered secondary detonations, resulting in significant casualties among personnel and the destruction of a large amount of equipment. Russian reconnaissance continues to monitor and identify supply chains and troop movements. Moving to the Toretsk direction, a lot of interesting information has been coming in from this front. Throughout January, we discussed that the Russian Ministry of Defense was expected to announce the complete clearance of Toretsk. Initially, this was anticipated before Donald Trump's inauguration, then delayed for several more days. Now it is January 29th, yet instead of a declaration of Toretsk's capture, despite some pro-Russian channels insisting that it is on the verge of falling, recent events indicate otherwise. It can now be confidently stated that Ukrainian forces have launched a series of counterattacks around the Toretsk perimeter. At least 3 counteroffensives have been recorded using geolocation data, each yielding some degree of progress on the battlefield. Let's go step by step. The Russian side has released objective control footage showing FPV drone strikes on strongpoints and private structures situated between the Zabalka district and the Novosilka agglomeration. These images clearly show wastewater treatment facilities, which are easily identifiable on the map. Based on this footage, we have updated the disputed territory, marking it back under Ukrainian control. I would like to remind you that some neutral cartographers, whether pro-Ukrainian or pro-Russian, had already marked this territory as under the control of the Russian armed forces several weeks ago. However, recent footage suggests the opposite. Either the Ukrainian side has regained control over the wastewater treatment facilities, or the Russian side never actually entered this area in the first place. Moving to the northern sector, yesterday footage was published showing assault operations in the northernmost part of Toretsk, near the slag heap of mine number 12. In these images, we can see 3 Ukrainian vehicles entering the northern part of the settlement, deploying troops, conducting a sweep, and reportedly capturing 4 Russian soldiers. At least based on objective control footage, this is the scene that unfolds. As a result, we updated the map yesterday, marking the northern part of Toretsk under the control of the Ukrainian armed forces. It seems that these operations and strikes by the AFU serve a single purpose: to buy some time before the inevitable moment when the Russian Ministry of Defense announces the full capture of Toretsk. Moving to Chasiv Yar, The map has also undergone changes in this area. Today, pro-Russian sources report that Russian armed forces have completely cleared the forest south of the Novyi district and have effectively reached the central pond, located near the Shevchenko neighborhood, which is already considered part of the central area. In this sector, several units of Ukrainian equipment were reportedly destroyed, possibly while attempting to counterattack Russian forces in the forested area and the refractory materials health complex Ornupore. Some pro-Russian cartographic services have updated their maps, indicating a revised front line in the Novosilka neighborhood. However, according to on-the-ground reports, Ukrainian troops, specifically units from the 24th Separate Mechanized Brigade, are still present in the western part of the area. Despite footage from late December confirming the presence of Russian forces in this sector, certain mapping services have now revised their assessments, marking these territories as either under AFU control or within a contested grey zone. For now, we are designating this area as disputed, specifically in terms of Russian control.